Yeah, I think they're telling us what we know about the Trump presidency is that Americans don't like it. So why don't we just take a look at these new polling that we have, and he remains underwater. Look, the CBS News poll, look at that. He's 12 points underwater. You want to go over to NBC? You want a different network? You can go to a different network, but it's the exact same story. 14 points underwater, double digits on this. This has been the story throughout much of the Trump presidency. He remains underwater as we get past Labor Day, Jessica.
And just how consistent have Trump's ratings been?
Yeah, okay. So this to me was the fascinating thing because, you know, I come on either every Saturday or Sunday or sometimes like this weekend, both days, and I talk about, oh, Trump's approval rating, he's underwater. I come up with some witty line or some line I think is witty, like he's more underwater than the Little Mermaid or something like that. And I decided to actually look, okay, how long has this dude been underwater? All right, so let's take a look at it. All right, negative net approval rating for Trump. Every single day in my aggregate of polls since March 12th, in terms of number of days, 180 days in a row he has been underwater. That is basically half a year. You know, the NFL season started this week. You basically have to go back to the end of the last NFL season to find a day in which Trump was above water. The bottom line is he has been swimming with the fishes for a very long period of time, Jessica.
And what groups has he lost ground with?
Okay, so, you know, we're talking about the fact that he was last positive. You got to go back before March 12th. So what has changed? What has changed since February, which was the last full month in which he was above ground? Well, take a look here. Trump's net approval rating among age 18 to 29. We're looking at the CBS News poll, but it holds true in the average as well. He was +2 back in late February. Look at where he is now. My God, that is a 32-point drop since the beginning of this year. How about Hispanics? He was at -6, a little bit underwater, but not too bad. But look at where he is now, -34 points. That's what is that? That's a 28-point drop since February. These, of course, were two groups that he exceeded expectations with back in the 2024 election, did much better than the traditional Republican has this century. But now these groups have absolutely moved away from him, and he is way underwater, 30 points and 34 points underwater. Those two groups have moved away from him in tremendous fashion, and it goes a long way in explaining why his overall approval rating, his net approval rating, has fallen through the floor and been negative for such a long period of time, Jessica.
And what issues does he do well with?
Okay, so there are a few things that I think that are so important to figure out here. Okay, so we're talking about groups, right? Is there any place where Donald Trump does well with? Well, let's talk about issues first. Okay, Trump's net approval rating. I got crime, immigration, foreign policy, the economy, trade. There's a whole slew of red, and this isn't Republican red. This is negative red, Jessica Dean. -2 points, -3 points, -12 points, -14 points, -17 points. On all the key issues of the day, he is underwater, Jessica. No wonder you can't survive in a presidency having a positive net approval rating when you're underwater on all of these different issues. And, of course, crime and immigration were two of his best issues, and now he's underwater on all of them. And then, of course, the economy, which was the reason he was reelected in the first place. This is the one I really circle here. He's 14 points underwater, which basically looks pretty much like those CBS News and NBC News polls, which have him at -12 and -14 points. I'll point out one last little thing. I'm going to jump ahead a question because I just feel like I'm in such a roll, Jessica, and I just feel like the energy with me.
Don't let us stop you.
Thank you very much. So we see all this negative, but the thing that you pointed out at the beginning that I think is so important, what is the one saving grace for Donald Trump right now? And that is the Republican base. What are we talking about here? Well, take a look here. Republicans who approve of Trump. Well, in the CBS News poll back in February, look at this. It was 90%. Look at where it is now. You mentioned it at the top. It's at 91%. As long as this Republican base sticks with him, as long as he's hearing the good news from the conservative talk radio host, as long as he's hearing the good news from the folks out there on the right, he's going to think he has very strong support. So I don't think that Donald Trump is going to do anything differently as long as this 91% holds. And as I said, it's steady as ever because that's actually a point higher than it was in February, Jessica.